I want you to imagine for a moment that you are a beautiful mansion. And within this mansion, you have many, many cities or many, many people. You have an internal family. This internal family works together to make the whole a safe and healthy place. So suppose this part of yourself, this internal world, has a figure that is helpful or nurturing. You have a part that's a wife, a daughter, the protector, the worker, someone who helps others. These are what we might call a part of ourselves that are in this internal world. So let's say the city is happy and healthy, and let's say a part of this city, or let's say a family member within this internal world or within this house, is feeling unhappy. They're feeling really unsafe. They're not feeling accepted. They're not feeling loved. They're not feeling included. So they will try to go to lengths to meet their needs. This is the best description I could possibly come up with to describe how I see depression in myself and with other people. So basically, I view people as a beautiful art piece or a mosaic. We have pieces that are purple and green and different experiences, and they all come together in this art piece. What a lot of people really like to do is they really like to jam a part of this art piece into their ideal picture, or they like to totally abandon this part of their art piece or their mosaic. So for a better example, since we all are art pieces, I feel like a good example could be, let's say a person, this art piece, doesn't like their job anymore, or they don't like the relationship anymore, or they don't want to be healthy anymore. So what they do is they say, okay, I think I'm going to take a pill, or I think I'm going to take a drink every now and then to make me more happier, so that the job that I don't like will somehow be more pleasant, or the relationship that I will be in will somehow be more bearable, or perhaps maybe the family member that I'm living with will somehow be more helpful. So what happens is they take this pill, or they take this coping mechanism, and they think that it'll make them feel better, and for a while it will, but this part of themselves that has been abandoned will find other ways to meet the need. So they might do this in a way that, okay, if you are not going to listen to me and not quit the job, or not leave the relationship, or not get help for your health, then I'm going to create a disease, or I'm going to not make you feel anything at all. And for people that think emotions is just for sissies, well, try to be in a relationship with somebody that doesn't have one, or try living without emotion and see how far it gets you. Emotions and it's a part of your internal world, it's a part of your internal family, and it's a part of how you view life and your vitality. So another example I might be is, let's say somebody doesn't really want to accept that they are upset with someone that they're living with, or a family member, or a friend, or typically maybe they grow up in a dynamic where the relationship or the environment is very unstable, and so they have to adapt to this relationship, or they have to adapt to this dynamic, so they develop bipolar disorder. And they say, okay, well, I don't want to admit that I'm not happy with my parents or my mother or whatever, so a bipolar disorder or some type of disorder will develop in order to kind of like a red flag that something is not right. So and I understand that there are thousands of videos about depression or not feeling inspired, but depression is basically there because either you have abandoned something within yourself in order to meet, usually it's someone else's needs, because let's be real, everyone wants to be accepted and loved, so a lot of us will abandon parts of ourselves in order to feel accepted. So when I am feeling uninspired, or I am feeling down, or a little bit depressed, or I like to ask myself, what part of myself am I abandoning, or what part of myself have I neglected, and what is it serving? So I wrote a blog about, it's called Your Stained Glass Protector, and it's basically an increment or like a little part about what it's like to live with dissociative identity disorder. And people will claim that that claim that have dissociative identity disorder have a part of themselves that is protector, and they feel that sometimes this part of themselves is very diabolical or it's not helping, but it actually is serving a purpose. And the same thing goes with depression. Depression develops when a part of the self has been neglected or abandoned, and it needs to be integrated or it needs a need to be met. So what happens when people just cope with the depression or don't really get to the root of the problem, other malfunctions in relationships or in the self will start to happen. And this is what happens when this internal world or this internal city or this internal family will start to go to lengths to try to meet this need that the person, this house, isn't listening to, if that makes any sense. And so let's say, I'm trying to give another example that might be a little bit more beneficial for people. And I like to put depression in not so much of a way that can't really be understood. I know there's like thousands of videos about depression's environmental, it's clinical, it's hereditary, but basically no one is born with depression. No one is born feeling not motivated, and no one is born and not feeling inspired. So what I like to think of people is not only a house and a mosaic, but you have to take care of your internal world in order to be your best self and to be helpful to other people and to be happy, really. And people that feel that maybe their needs aren't being met, they think that it'll go away, but really they won't. They'll just come out in other ways, such as maybe somebody doesn't feel like they need to have their needs met or their wants to be met, or they don't care that they have abandoned themselves. So oftentimes they might come out getting angry with other people or blaming other people for their problems or feeling like the victim to get kind of like the empathy and the sympathy or partial need that they want in really maladaptive ways. And I feel like this is really not really known to maybe like a lot of people, because people like to just cope with their depression, or they like to cope with not feeling motivated or inspired, or they don't know why their health is declined, and it really has to do with your internal world or your internal city. So I do have a blog if you guys are interested, and I will leave the website at the description below. And I wrote a blog called How to Be Found and Your Stained Glass Protector, which I feel like this will be really beneficial for this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye.